I finally stepped into +12s this week as I was making my push to achieve 3k rating as a tank for the first time ever. I'm glad I chose one of the easiest seasons we ever had to do this, because normally I'm not a super confident tank and anxiety gets the best of me, but this time I managed to work through it. In these last keys I've seen some shocking numbers from multiple DPS players, but I had my fair share of mistakes once again, such as charging into a line in Nexus Point, or letting the healer pay for my sloppy gathering pull. The vault was quite interesting for once, so much so that I had to ask someone to help me decide what to pick. So I got the choice between a helmet, the Jolly Replicator Trinket, and mythic Crit Mastery boots. Helmet I don't need, so trinket or boots? This trinket gives you an absorb shield, but it's on a random proc. It also has a small cheat death effect, but not great. The boots were not ideal stats as I need haste and crit, but my friend pointed it out to me to check what stats do I get on boots if I catalyze them.
That's a thing?
Yes, and guess what? It catalyzes into crit haste, which makes it a best in slot. So I choose boots. The first key was Myora Caverns. I specifically chose this as I kinda wanted to push myself into a dungeon that I'm not as comfortable with as others. Everything went fine until I got into the middle section. You see this troll lady trying to reboot Ghostbusters with that ghost and skeleton for the billionth time? Those three were part of my route, and I missed them. But not only them, 2 additional reanimated warriors as well, so I ended up missing 4.8% count going into the last boss. However, on the last boss, the healer and the arms warrior stepped into some circles, died, and since we had no combat chest, I had to super awkwardly find a way to jump off and go again. On the way back, I pulled a pack and it still wasn't enough, so I also had to grab a bat and run to the boss. In the end, we managed to time the key and I noticed our damage was pretty low, but I didn't know at the time that this would become only worse. The next dungeon was Windrunner's Spire, and this was the overall damage at the end.
It's not looking good, Bev. It's not looking good.
I was kinda surprised, to be honest, and before some of you say about Shadow Priest ramping time, some of the trash, but especially bosses, felt like they lived for ages. I guess the priest did die on the first pull and took quite a while to get to the second one, but that's not really a valid excuse. I was pulling reasonably, not just 2 mobs at a time, so he had plenty of chances to get in there, but I don't think I've seen him a single time go above 85k. And I don't know, I'm just surprised. I remember a month ago or 2, on my Feral Druid and Evoker, I felt bad when I was only doing 100k overall, and now it seems to be pretty normal for people in 12s doing 60-70k overall. Just find it shocking how much has changed in a month. Before you raise your pitchforks at me, ultimately I didn't care and nobody else in the group did. Nobody said a single word during the key, nobody flamed anyone. I would never do that unless somebody starts to give me shit for no reason. I'm just talking about it to you guys as if I was telling it to a friend. Magister's Terrace was kind of similar story, although here at least the balanced druid's gear wasn't as high, so I guess this is more acceptable. But yeah, that's +12s for ya right now. Now let's move on to Agathar Academy. Last week in the 10 I succumbed to the bleeds. In the 12 I did not chicken out from the big pull, but it was very sloppy, so the healer got clapped. I am happy to report, however, that at least yours truly didn't die, because I started to kite in time and even used Piercing Howl to slow the enemies down enough for me to run around. Also, let's be honest, nobody important died, It was just a holy priest. They can revive themselves. It's fine. I'm also happy to report that I made the jump after the second boss and nobody pulled the Ravager we were trying to skip. Before the last boss, I pulled 3 Echo Knights at the same time, which was a spicy idea, as on top of their annoying spinny circles, they do an ability called Arcane Smash, which damages the entire party pretty hard, but it can be LOS'd. However, I never actually see people try to LOS it, so I figured why should I bother and just tank it in the open where at least I can dodge the circles easier, but the healer went down again, so yeah, I don't know. Next dungeon, Nexus Point. Now, I want you guys to get your Kortvig and Gavo ready for this key, because I was hella confused. Let's start with the most embarrassing part of me charging into the line.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Yes, I'm an idiot. Whatever happens. But then I pulled a small pack and we had the Seer added from behind again. And these defenders put a negative heal absorb onto the tank. So I'm constantly about to die. My health bar is not moving up at all. I tried to shockwave them to drop the stacks, but it didn't really last long. Pack dies, and I'm standing there waiting to be healed up and I barely get any, so I thought, well, I guess I gotta carry on, and basically almost die again, and as the pool carries on with 12 stacks, I just fell over. I unfortunately didn't notice my trinket was ready again, which was my bad, but was this my fault, or the healer's fault, or the whole group's? On the 10, I did not struggle with these packs. I'm not sure if I just had a goated healer there or was I supposed to kite here? I was super confused because my health was never moving up, it felt like. But before you make your judgment, in front of the second boss, I'm 44% health. I'm waiting to get healed up and the healer is just standing there, no reaction or even trying to heal me up, so I tried to hit recuperate. But then the Warlock and Hunter pulled the boss while I'm still just about 60% health. This boss starts out with a tank buster. If I had pulled this on 50%, I could have possibly died there. Not gonna lie, I was low-key tempted to type the famous healer ? Because this was kinda diabolical. Nothing's going on, he's full mana, and I'm not getting any heals. Then before the last boss, the healer went down because they didn't dispel themselves or anyone, no defensives, and nobody kicked the holy bolts either. Literally everyone died except me. I'm aware I'm not very good as prot warrior, but I legit couldn't tell what was the problem here. We still managed to time the key. Nobody said a word, so I guess it was fine. Speaking of healers, make sure you vote for a healer's pack for the next series on the poll. Link in the description, pinned comment, or my Discord. I decided to add more healers packs to the choices, so check them out, cast your vote, it will close in a few days. Skyreach was smooth sailing and so was Pit 13, despite Martin roleplaying as an Ogg evoker whose best play was to run back to talk to an NPC and press Bloodlust. Now let's talk about Seat again. I made a new route after seeing the famished packs being stubborn to move. I followed this new route to the T. I pulled everything as I've marked them down on MDT. Our healer was a bit undergeared, so I didn't pull the 2 subjugators together at the start, but it didn't matter. I pulled every pack I needed to in room 1. I didn't know how the hell we did not wipe on the first boss, by the way. I thought this paladin is actually looking to wipe us constantly because he took the boss sleep on top of the ads several times. Just look at this, it's pure insanity. How did we manage this? I legit have no clue. Up next on the route, Rift Warden 1 with patrols and unbroken packs. Second Rift Warden with the Auto Patrol and 2 Umbral Fins. Third Rift Warden with that big pack next to it. And then this pack on the right side on the way to the Rift Warden number 4. And then I eventually added the patrol there too, and the famished bros eating the dog. So we start marching up towards the third boss, and as the last robot dude dies, I realize we don't have enough percentage, so I had to pull an extra pack there, which was fine. But I don't get it. Is MDT bugged? I followed this route to a T, nothing was missed. If I didn't know you need the 80% before going to the third boss, I would have missed out getting 3k from this key, because it needed to be a double upgrade. So if anyone can shed some light here, it'd be welcome. I want to point out this Chad Enhancement Shaman, by the way, just to name a positive example of someone I expected to be below tank damage, but actually smashed everyone who was 20 item levels higher. So, how was playing as Protection Warrior? To me, it felt like quite a sturdy tank. I very rarely felt in danger and I only died 3 times throughout the whole series, but that was mainly due to lack of knowledge. You deal pretty decent damage, nothing crazy but acceptable, and it was easy to learn the basics. However, I really disliked gathering packs. Maybe I'm just too used to my Protection Paladin who can pull half the dungeon with a single button, and that may have contributed to some of my failures on the warrior that sometimes I try to pull as if I was pulling on my paladin, which made this learning curve a bit harder. Overall it was fine, but I don't think I'll be willingly play this tank spec anytime soon, to be honest. I do want to emphasize something I'm kinda proud of. I did not deplete a single key. 0 keys were bricked or abandoned, nobody flamed me, I didn't flame anyone, we were just all one big quiet group going in getting shit done.
That's what I'm talking about. Ew.
Anyway, my gear ended up being 280 item level, no fancy trinkets or anything. I used up all my bonus rolls and ended up disenchanting most jobs. Yikes. I thank you all for the kind comments on the last video. I'm glad you found my tank anxiety relatable, and that's partially why I make these videos, to showcase you are not alone out there struggling. I thank you all for watching. Make sure to vote for a healer for me to play, like the video and subscribe, and also check me out on twitch.tv/SaluunTV on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays and Sundays. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye!